So during the presentation for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom with Mr. Aonuma, we had a bunch of stuff that was revealed, right? We got Link's abilities, which we talked about in a different video. We got a little bit of, gameplay with weaponry and combat and some enemies, some new enemies like the kind of Zonai creatures, or not creatures, I guess, enemy types. Not really sure what to call them, but anyways, there's a bunch of brand new stuff that we've seen. We've seen a bunch of the Sky Islands, but here's the thing. I want to talk a little bit more about the locations in the game, because we've seen some stuff in the game in terms of locations, just general stuff, but we also seen some specific stuff on the maps. The bottom right corner, the map actually revealed a lot more than you may realize, and I mean a lot more. So we're going to jump into that here in this video. If you guys do enjoy this one, stick around for more. We got a lot more Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom content for you guys leading up to launch, and of course post-launch with the actual game. Let's plays, walkthroughs, guides, you name it. It's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you guys stick around. All right, let's get straight into this. First things first, of course, we had the locations of the Sky Islands, right? I know this is just a given, but we got to talk about it because we're talking about some of the locations that was revealed in this game. So we got, of course, the Sky Islands that we've seen, which is a vast kind of, I guess, world, if you will, up on the top of Hyrule, and it's gonna add a lot more exploration because there is a lot going on up here. Now, I don't know what triggers this event. Obviously, we don't know that. It's gonna be story related, and it's gonna be obviously super spoilery, so we don't know that as of right now. That said, to get up there, it's very easy to traverse up there. There's a bunch of different ways. You can, of course, use the Link's new abilities, a couple different abilities to either recall a stone that has fallen from the sky, and that's going to bring you up kind of like an elevator, if you will, or you can, make some different sort of flying vehicles that will bring you up. There's a few different ways to get up there. Now, of course, you have the land down below as well with Hyrule, which we've seen kind of like an overhead shot a little bit kind of towards the end of this gameplay demonstration. And there's probably some stuff to kind of, pick apart with this kind of overhead shot, in and of itself, but this is kind of the portion where Link was falling from the Sky Islands, and we kind of got a nice little pan around Hyrule. We can see that pretty much everything has been kind of messed up, right? We see Death Mountain, of course, that has the whole calamity kind of oozing out of it. We've seen that previously before as well, and we see a bunch of Sky Islands scattered all around the place, which is really crazy, because again, there's a lot going on with this. Now, again, we see some stuff down below, a lot of familiar locations. So again, we have a lot of familiarity down below, right? We can kind of see sort of like I think it was the Colosseum towards the left of the Great Plateau in one shot. Again, we see pretty much everything that we've seen in Breath of the Wild. We can't see a whole lot of how it's changed in this gameplay, but again, we've seen a little bit of, gameplay on the land, in some of the trailers, different things like that, but we're not going to talk too much about that because for the most part, from what we've seen, it's pretty similar. But I want to talk about more specific things. So we do see at the very, very beginning of the gameplay, if you look at the map, we're going to be looking at the map for a lot of these things. We actually see a little horse symbol. So of course we know that stables have returned in this game. It's like a little horse symbol inside of a square, but a little bit later, like not too far ahead of that in the gameplay, we actually see another horse symbol on the map, which is probably where Link left his horse, right? So if you have your horse that you have kind of got off of, and you kind of left your horse behind a little bit, you can see your horse on the map where it is there as well. So that's also returning. Now we've got a few other things to talk about that are getting kind of more into the juicy stuff. Okay, so firstly, there is a section of the map, if you go to in the trailer around the 712 marker, you can actually see on the map there's a square icon with a battery in it. Now remember that the stable was that kind of square icon, so usually these square icons signify some kind of place that you go for something, right? In the instance of the horse symbol, of course, it's a stable. In the instance of the battery, I'm actually not quite sure what it is. Maybe something to do with rechargeable stuff, because what's interesting is in this same scene, Mr. Aonuma builds this whole raft, right? And there's this kind of I guess maybe it's like some kind of Zonai technology. It's a fan, and when he smacks the fan, you can actually see a battery kind of pop up on screen. So I don't know if it has to do with some kind of relation to that. If you guys have any ideas, do let me know. But yeah, there is that. Now, the other thing that we can note, actually in the same scene, we see actually a bunch of stuff in this one particular screen and scene, is that there are a bunch on the map. There are a bunch of cave-like looking kind of symbols, right? Some of them have a check mark, some of them don't. If you actually skip a little bit, I think it's actually back a little bit to around 712. Again, Link is going to be looking pretty much directly at that cave area, and you can kind of see that it just looks like a normal cave. So my assumption with this is that it's some kind of cave that, you know, you go into, you loot it out, you know, you kind of clear it out, kind of like, you know, those bokoblin bases in Breath of the Wild, probably similar to that style of thing, right? It's kind of like a little maybe enemy base, maybe there's like a treasure cache in there. You go in there, you defeat whatever enemies are in there, you get your treasure, and then that's it, and then it marks it off that you've completed and you've cleared out that kind of cave. So that's what it seems to be. We can see a little bit of a better shot of a cave a little bit later in the trailer. This one would be probably around the sort of, I think it was like, let me see here, like 11:02 roughly. So you can see that. So again, it's another shot of, you know, one of the caves that has been cleared. Again, we don't really see inside of the cave, so we don't know what exactly it fully entails. It's probably, like I said, just kind of like those bokoblin bases. Nothing pretty serious or crazy about that. Moving on from that, we got a couple other things to talk about. And there's one actually particular that's kind of the cream of the crop in all of this, right? But first things first, at 9:40 in the gameplay, you can actually see, similar to these square icons, you see this one square icon on the map that has a pot on it. I don't fully recall. I think we had those in, obviously, Breath of the Wild, and I'm pretty sure those are just like normal shops. So again, we can see the shops are returning, stables are returning. We got that battery icon, which I don't remember that being in Breath of the Wild. So again, I'm pretty sure that's new. Not 100% sure what that is, but again, you can see that icon there, along with some more caves in that shot as well. Okay, now finally, we got something that is really, really cool, and that is shrines, right? Now, we all know what the shrine symbol looks like, and if you don't, let me throw up an example on screen to remind you what the Sheikah shrine symbol looks like, okay? So it's kind of like this blue diamond icon. It looked like kind of like a shrine inside of the diamond, and that's how you knew it was a shrine, right? We had 4, of course, on the Great Plateau and whatnot. So, again, if you don't remember, now you know. Quick little reminder right there. Now, there's a couple different instances on the map throughout this gameplay that Mr. Aonuma presented us that we could actually see a shrine-looking symbol, but it's a little bit different. It's actually a little bit different. So, if you look around, you can actually see that these symbols look like a shrine. It's blue, right? It has that kind of blue icon in them, which is very, very interesting to say the very least. But it looks slightly different. It looks a little bit different than what the normal shrines look like. It still looks like a shrine, but again, it looks different. Now, I heard some people talking about online that they think maybe this has to do with the Zonai, especially like this seems to be like heavily based off of the Zonai, with, you know, everything going on with Link's arm to everything going on with, you know, Ganondorf or Demise or whoever that is that, you know, was sealed and then resurrected. Whatever seal was holding it down seemed to be to do with the Zonai. We've seen these creatures up in the sky, the ones that we've seen in Mr. Aonuma's, you know, gameplay presentation, and when you kill them, they give you some Zonai parts. So these are all, it's all Zonai based, right? It's heavily based on that. Now, we know that the symbolism for them are typically like kind of like a greenish, right? The enemies that we've seen Mr. Aonuma fight, they had that kind of green aesthetic. Of course, like I said, with Link's arm, we've seen all the symbolism, the actual main logo. I mean, the whole thing is basically Zonai focused, right? Now, what's very interesting is, yes, we see these symbols on the map that look a little bit different, which of course solidifies the shrines are returning, which I'm all for. I love the shrines. I think they were so much fun with all of Link's new abilities. It's going to add so much more depth and so much more fun with, you know, the puzzles that they're going to create for us with these shrines. But they're not Sheikah shrines. They're Zonai shrines. And like I said, the reason I believe this, number one, the symbol is very different. But number two, we can kind of see a little bit. Now, Mr. Mr. Aonuma was very intentional about turning away from the shrines. If you actually go through the gameplay, I was watching it again, I was like, huh, every time you see one of these shrine icons on the map, you can kind of see some like stairs leading up to a shrine, but he never, ever goes there. Even in the part where there's the kind of puff mushroom on the shield, the only time he faces that shrine is when he is surrounded by that smoke, the puff from the mushroom. So again, very intentional, but we actually got a very slight glimpse of it at 9:32. So if you go to 9:32 in this gameplay, very briefly, okay, very briefly, you actually get a little snippet of it. Now, this is when Link is riding a raft, and if you were to go to 9:32 and look at the map, you're not going to see a shrine. Okay, so if you go a little bit more ahead in the gameplay, you actually see a shrine icon pop up as he kind of moves forward. It's kind of in the upper right corner of the map, around 9:35 in the gameplay. But if you go back to 9:32 and you look at the upper right corner, the upper right hand corner of the screen, you can actually see some kind of, I guess, sort of structure that's round, and it has some kind of green on it. Now, if you don't believe me that this is the shrine, first look at what Link is riding, right? With the propellers that are on this raft, it's Zonai technology. It has that green in it, right? So look at that technology, and now look at the same green that is on that structure, and that structure is also kind of rounded like a shrine-like kind of, you know, I guess, you know, structure, right? If you look at the Sheikah shrines, they had a very kind of similar structure to each other. This one kind of looks similar, but different, and it would be different because it's, again, a Zonai shrine instead of a Sheikah shrine. So again, we kind of catch a very slight glimpse of it right there. It's not very long. It's very hard to see. Again, you can kind of, you know, go to the gameplay yourself and see what I'm talking about. Of course, I'm showing you on screen a little bit as well, you know, kind of zoomed in pictures and all that. But yeah, it's definitely the shrine. It's in that location, in that general area, especially as, like I said, as Link moves forward, you can see that's where the shrine icon pops up in the map in the lower right corner. So we get a little bit of a look at that, but that's pretty much all we got in terms of the shrine. So let me know what you think about all this in the comments below. I thought it was some pretty interesting stuff, pretty exciting. What do you think about the fact that shrines are returning, but they're no longer Sheikah shrines? Now they're going to be Zonai shrines. What do you hope to see from these shrines in terms of, you know, just the puzzles and the aesthetics and whatnot? And how many do you want to see? We had like 120 Breath of the Wild. Will we have another 120? Who knows? As long as you don't have 900 Korok seeds, I'm good to go. Or if we do, they better be better reward than golden poop. Yeah, if you know, you know. Anyways, thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay well, stick around for more. And until the next one, game on. I'll see you guys soon.